Hi, it's Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style coming to answer your colour and style questions today in my lucky dip. First question comes from Cynthia. How to stop being so safe and spend all my time finding clothes that just hide the unflattering parts of me? So this is where we want to think about being a magician with clothing. So when we're thinking about finding clothes that hide the unflattering parts, we're looking for clothes that have some sort of illusion. And so we can use things like vertical lines, lengthen, elongate, and slim to make areas of us that might be shorter and wider appear a little longer and slimmer. We can use horizontal lines to broaden and highlight. So we can balance our body using horizontal lines. So thinking about a boat neck will help to balance out wider hips, for example. Or you can have epaulettes on a jacket, which create a horizontal line, which also balance out your hips. So looking at, horizontal lines broaden. So we also think about not putting horizontal lines on points we don't want to draw attention to and we don't want to further broaden. So avoiding putting tops on, ending the hems of our tops on wider points. So don't, end your top across the widest point of your hips. Or if you don't have a waist, don't add a top there. So that is something to think about as well. And of course, if we do have a narrow part, we put those hems on those narrow parts. Because most hems are horizontal lines, then we want to put them on the narrow parts of arms, the narrow parts of, waists or hips or wherever it might be to flatter. Then we can also use distraction. So this is where the art of the illusionist is all about creating illusion. The art, the magician, they create the illusion, they do the trick, but so you don't notice what's going on, they create a distraction. It's look over here so you don't notice what's happening, when I'm actually doing the little bit of magic as such. So what we need to do in our outfits is to provide a distraction, provide somewhere for the eye to rest, to land, so we don't notice the illusion that's actually going on, so that we're not actually looking at the, bits you're looking to camouflage, the bits you think are unflattering. So this is where we need to provide those focal points. And I talk a lot about focal points on the blog. So if you want to find out more about this, head over to the blog, look up illusion, look up magician, look up focal points, all those things I have written blog posts about to give you more tips and then some examples. So one of the easiest ways of creating a focal point is put on some jewelry or put on an accessory, put on a scarf, something that creates something for you to focus on, that draws your attention, that draws your eye, so that we're not noticing those bits of you that you're trying to camouflage. This is often the thing that people miss out on, and then they spend all their time focusing on the bit they don't want people to look at. So it is thinking about how I can use, illusion, and of course we can use colours, so light colours advance and dark colours recede, but bright colours advance and muted colours recede as well. So there's lots of different ways we can create illusions, and then, to make things more receding versus more advancing. If you just focus on trying something, to find something that, makes your bum look smaller or whatever it is that you're trying to hide, you're actually missing half of the art of the magician, which is distraction. And in fact, without that distraction, the illusion doesn't even work. So it's really important to provide those distractions. And I think this is where it's working out, what are you happy with? Are you happy to draw attention to? And how can you put some distraction in that area? So it can be things like bracelets and rings and earrings and necklaces and even glasses or scarves or detail on clothing. And that's the thing I always look at, is when I'm looking at, for my client or even for myself, what's the part we want to highlight and what's the part we want to not draw attention to? We want to make sure in any piece of clothing, before we take it into the change room, we want to look at it and say, does it have the horizontal lines where I want it? Does it have the vertical lines where I want it? Does it have any detail where I don't want it? So I always think if you don't want to draw attention to a part of your body, keep it plain and free of detail. If you do want to draw attention to part of your body, put the detail there. But this is where even things like we can get very obsessed with going, well, a pattern is a detail, but a busy pattern can actually be very distracting. And so this is where, and I've also written about this on the blog as well, so you can look up what is a slimming pattern and you can get some understanding about that as well. Because when it's a really busy pattern and the eye can't start or stop, there's no places for the eye to stop and rest, then that means the eye just keeps on going because our brains go, oh, I can't be bothered to look at that. And so it just keeps moving. So there's lots of different things you can look up. There's so many strategies you can use to find flattering clothes, and I've got lots of those on the blog. But it's also just as important to look for those focal points to provide somewhere for the eye to look in that outfit. And this is really going to help you create the more flattering outfits and to stop obsessing so much about the parts of you don't want people to notice. As soon as you've done a couple of things, well, that's as much as I can do. But what I can do is provide something to make the eye go elsewhere. So I really hope that helps, Cynthia.